Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. OpTic Leaks is at it again, revealing rosters before the CDL season has even begun. This time though, it's on the Halo side. After the recent Halo World Championship, many of the upper echelon of teams are looking to make changes after failing to win, including, according to Shotzzy, OpTic Halo themselves. What change might this be? Would it be a good one for the team? Exactly what is Shotzzy implying? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, big thanks to MWIII ANC for supporting today's video. I've been looking for a good pair of wireless earbuds now for a long time, and when Status Audio reached out the other day, I've had them for a couple of weeks now, by far the best that I've ever used. The noise cancelling is great, up to 38 decibels of it, but what I really like is the battery life, because I always forget to charge these things when I've had earbuds in the past. 12 hours on the actual earpieces themselves with no noise cancelling, still 8 hours with it on, and another 36 hours in the charging case itself that comes along with it. The controls on the earpieces themselves are super intuitive, but what I really like about this is to download the app and start playing around with it, because there's a lot you could do on here. Turn on the noise cancelling, turn on the ambient noise, all this type of good stuff, but the favourite bit, especially for COD fans, will be customise your equalisation settings, baby. Go full awakening on this, right? You can sort everything out you want, especially the bass on these is pretty spectacular, but yeah, if you guys want to go all out and customise your sound EQ, this is the place to be. And if you are in the market for a set of wireless earbuds, definitely check out MWIII ANC, and if you use the code TacticalRab or just use the link in the description box below, you'll get 10% off your order when you get to the checkout. Thanks to Status Audio, and let's dive straight into the action, baby, because lots of updates on Modern Warfare 3 itself. Firstly, weapon tuning. Thank the Lord, it's finally gone. This was generally considered as a massive dub the last couple of years. The tuning things on the attachment. I know that Infinity Ward are already cooking up the glorious return of weapon tuning when they make their next game. Hopefully it doesn't happen though. But yes, after overwhelming fan feedback, Cellium has decided to get rid of it, and we're going to go back to what is a slightly more typical Call of Duty thing. Now, of course, a lot of the changes we've seen over the last few years still remain. These are the tacticals, for example, and okay, a lot of these you might well expect to be in the case. The other piece, though, is what's going on with the field upgrades. This is always the one that's probably more important from the competitive perspective, because what's going to be used, and there was a concern that Parasite said that we might just have 4 sets of trophy systems in ranked play, and it might not play particularly well. The pros will GA more than 1 trophy, more than 2 trophies per player per team, but the problem is that when you get to rank, it's a different story. So these are all the field upgrades available. You'll also notice here, Dead Silent is one, and this raised initial questions. People were like, hang on a second, why is Dead Silent a field upgrade if, you know, you're definitely completely silent with the covert sneakers? Are they going to revert the covert sneakers to make them not fully silent? Hopefully not. And that is not the case. We'll see in a second. But as Parasite says, Trophy and Deddy meta for comp again. This is the thing, that SMGs could use the slide boots and the Deddy, and then ARs could use Ninja and the Trophy. And this is kind of, you know, Parasite's theory crafting what could be the meta here, because, you know, the boots outside of the covert sneakers are pretty damn good, and you can have Dead Silent as a field upgrade as well. So maybe that's what some SMGs will go for. I think it's definitely an interesting observation. But as OpTic was saying, hang on a second, why is Dead Silent here? We thought we already had Dead Silent. Why does it need to be a field upgrade? But this is actually probably even better, right? Because now you're not forced to use the covert sneakers, right? I mean, you know, if they've got the sound equalization on the other team, then any noise is a bit of a problem. So any way to get rid of it is good. Now, double Dead Silent, if you have the covert sneakers and the Dead Silent field upgrades, it's probably not going to make you any more silent. You're already silent, but there are going to be 2 ways to be silent in the game, which is good. And it does, as Parasite says, open the door potentially to having players run a different set of boots or sneakers or whatever they're called to get a different set of perks and still use Dead Silence when it might be needed. Of course, if you don't have Dead Silence all the time, though, it opens up the door to sound EQ still being a viable option, when if there's no noise at all from footsteps, then sound EQ becomes irrelevant, which is kind of what we want. So definitely some good steps being taken here today. There is this though, which is like expected, but I mean, come on, guys. We've got 114 weapons in the game, and can you imagine the amount of attachments we've got total? Oh, I don't even want to think about it. But yeah, so Modern Warfare 2, we have 77 weapons carrying over, and then 37 brand new weapons for the new game. So it's 114 total. I do wonder what the meta's going to be. It's still probably going to be a 2-weapon meta, isn't it? You could give us 114 guns. The pros will still only use 2. Okay, maybe with a sniper and a pistol thrown in there as well. But yeah, we saw from the beta, it was the Striker and the ACR effectively were the 2 weapons that were used. We'll see if the Vaznev or the TAC, whatever, still remains viable next year. Hopefully there is more options, because when there's 114 guns, you'd think there's a chance we have more than a 2-weapon meta, but I guess we'll have to stay tuned. Parasite as well was... I don't really know why Parasite's frustrated about this, because surely this is like kind of a good thing that the CDL launches very quickly after the game releases. That's kind of what we want and what should be the case as far as I'm concerned. But Parasite was saying that, oh, you know, only got 1 month to figure out maps and scrim them, and during the holiday, which is true. And okay, the game launched a little bit later than usual, so there's a little bit less time. But yeah, this is usually how it is, and to be honest, it will probably take a few days to figure out what the best maps are and how they should potentially be played. Let's talk about potential roster changes then going down. This was recently the Halo World Championship held in Seattle finished on the 16th of October. OpTic made it to the finals. They nearly went back-to-back, but they went down to FaZe in the grand finals, and FaZe took a pretty comprehensive W in especially the second set of those grand finals. Pretty solid viewership, I suppose, overall, and hopefully enough to ensure Microsoft's ongoing support of this franchise. But there were questions, what would these teams do? If you guys remember, back in the Black Ops 3 to Infinite Warfare season, Envy, this was the team of Slasher, John, aPeZy, and JCap, won the World Championship in Black Ops 3. They were then terrible at the start of the next season in Infinite Warfare. They surprised many by sticking it out, and at the end of the year finally came good again, had back-to-back second places, including at the World Championship, to the OpTic dynasty as it kind of got cemented at that time. And then despite coming first and second at back-to-back World Championships, they completely blew up the roster, right? That roster had run its course, and they decided to call it a day after 2 years together. Now, you can see parallels with this OpTic Halo team. Yes, they won like 5 events in the last 2 years, which is incredibly impressive. But when you have a run like that, and then you fall short at the second World Championship, it's so tough to go back-to-back, because after you win it once, as they did in 2022, all the other teams try and form rosters to beat you, which is usually what ends up happening, and FaZe built a better roster. At the end of the year, there was no doubt that FaZe were the team to beat, and they clearly outclassed OpTic into that finals. Could OpTic Halo have stuck it out anyway? Quite possibly, yes, but Shotzzy, in the background of, I think it's Boobadoobu's stream yesterday, reveals that, yeah, OpTic are making changes, and he's heard what these changes might potentially be. He says that, oh yeah, I'll tell you what SSG's roster is going to be, because Hex won't get annoyed at me for that, but he says, oh, I won't tell you OpTic's roster, but then, of course, by saying that I won't tell you OpTic's roster, he reveals that indeed he's, you know, they're making some sort of change. And even that didn't completely sell it. He could have passed it off to say, oh, you know, the roster's going to be the same, guys, like, that's what I meant type thing. But then he says at the end of the clip, oh my god, I leaked it, I can't believe it, I'm such an idiot. So, yeah, I think it's pretty clear what he's getting at here.
You get arrested.
I'll tell you the aPG roster. I ain't telling you our OpTic roster. Fuck it. I ain't saying the OpTic roster. I'll tell you that's the HyDra. That's not a word. I'm good. Hector won't get mad at me. And yeah, I just fucking leaked it. Holy nice. I'm a idiot, dude. Jesus.
Wait, what are you talking about?
So this is the OpTic Halo team, of course, that won the World Championship back in 2022. We've got Lucid, Trippy, Formal, and aPG, Coach Lunchbox here on the left-hand side. And look, in the World Championship Grand Final, Formal and Lucid, I guess, were the 2 best players of the World Championship. Trippy was good as well, had a bit of a rough finals. And aPG is kind of like, you know, it's the dirty work player, the calmer, whatever you want to say on the team. The player that's always going to get scapegoated if things go wrong, and you can argue whether that's valid or whether that's not valid. But look, if this team is going to make a change, I would expect it to probably be a one-man change, and it's not going to be formal. Lucid's arguably one of the best players in the entire game, and sure, I can well imagine that there was some clashes of personality on this team this season when things weren't going so well. When you've gone back to back to back, won the World Championship in 2022 as they did, have a rough start really to the new season, you can imagine that internally there's going to be questions as to why that's the case. But they did stick it out until the end of the season. They got good again. They got good enough to win again, but they didn't get good enough to win the World Championship again. We saw here these were their records over the last couple of years. They won all those events and online stuff and LAN events in a row at the end of 2022, including champs. They started out this year pretty well. Then they fell off a little bit, right? They weren't so good during June, July. Top 6 in Arlington, top 3 at the one in DreamHack, and top 4 at the one in August. And then they bounced back, winning the Fort Worth Major, and then came second at the World Championship. But still, not the same results they would have looked for. And you can understand that Formal's probably looking at this situation thinking, all right, is this team good enough to beat that FaZe squad that just pretty much dominated them in the grand finals of champs? Quite possibly not, and maybe changes are necessary, especially with options on the table, because SSG were really good at the end of this most recent season. As you guys can see, they made the finals of that Fort Worth Major that OpTic eventually won, and SSG decided the other day to release Penguin, which is surprising maybe because, you know, he was on that Cloud9 team right before and he stepped in there. I thought did a pretty good job for SSG of what I watched, but yeah, he's gone, dropped by SSG or whatever, so they're making moves, and clearly Shotzzy is aware of or kind of knows who his replacement is going to be, and therefore it's opened the door to, well, you know, if you're OpTic and you can consider to get Penguin for aPG, maybe that makes a lot of sense, right? And this is one of the rumors that's been going around, and you know, even from Carbon Satire a couple of days ago says a lot of people think that Penguin left SSG to replace aPG on OpTic. Penguin versus aPG this season, and these are some of the numbers, kind of, you know, comparing Penguin stats, I suppose, here in the orange to aPG's stat in the green. And sure, stats like these aren't everything, but, you know, more kills, assists, damage per game. It's been a theory that maybe Penguin to OpTic is the way that they look to upgrade over aPG, and who knows what happens the other way around. But yeah, these were some of Penguin's numbers over the course of the season. That's the question. Have SSG dropped him, or has he decided to leave with a better offer on the table? And OpTic might well be that. So intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Is that what Shotzzy's getting at? Because he quite clearly reveals changes are happening. Should OpTic have made changes anyway? You know, when you win the World Championship one year, you come second the next year, you might be tempted to stick it out. But if they feel like they can't win again with this team, and they struggled this year to even get back to the top of their game, it's understandable they might want to make some moves. And, you know, FaZe have just won champs. If you don't make a change, you're going to think, well, they might well try and do it again next season. So is Formal the mastermind behind this? Who knows? Where's Shotzzy getting his intel from? He's obviously got a lot of friends in the Halo world, no doubt about it. And, you know, obviously for good reason, because he is and has been rather good at Halo historically. Of course, he won the World Championship himself back in 2018 before he came over to Call of Duty. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Dashy back in Texas, it seems, as of yesterday. I'm guessing like pretty much the entire OpTic team is going to be there for the launch of the new game, the kickoff tournaments, all that type of good stuff. But I guess time will only tell on this one, but very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Check out Between 3 and C in the link in the description box below. Subscribe if you're new as always. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.